Hey guys! So for today's project, I'm actually not going to be cutting anything out. I'm actually going to be making more of an art print. So I was looking around my craft room in my office at work, and spring is here, but that is not reflected in the spaces around me because I still have a lot of fall and holiday themed stuff hanging around. So I thought I would use today as an opportunity to change out some of my art frames or the prints in some of these frames. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm using a file that I found on Pinterest, and this is a cut file that I actually am going to convert into just a black and white print. I found this pen, or excuse me, this like feather image, and I'll link it in the description box a long time ago, and I never saw any real use for it, or I never found any real use for it because it is really detailed. If I scrapbooked 12 by 12 more frequently, it probably would work out just fine, but because I tend to make cards, printing something that intricate and that detailed for a card just never really appealed to me. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to open this file, and I opened it recently so I could look at it, and you'll see that the file has an interesting name because the individual who made this, and I assume it was a woman, is in another country. And her blog, it's very easy to find the link to download this image, but it is all in Dutch or German or Swedish. I'm not sure, but it definitely is another language. Anywho, you can see that there's two different files here. So, or two different things here. One is the illustration and one is the cut lines. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one and delete it because I don't need it. And then I'm going to select this one and turn off the red cut line because I'm not going to be cutting anything, so I don't even need to see it. So I'm going to select the line color and say none. Now I'm ready to size this down to what I want it to be. Now this grid line is something that she turned on when she initially created the file, but I don't want it. So I'm going to go up to the top right hand corner to the grid settings and turn this off. Now I'm not 100% sure whether or not those grid lines would print, but I'm not even going to test the waters. So you can see the grid line is turned off, and I'm going to change this to an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So I'm going to go up to the page settings and select letter size, and I'm going to make it landscape. So I'll need to turn this. So I could use this green handle here, but instead I'm just going to go to this rotate option here and go 90 degrees. So this is about where I want it to land when I print it, but I don't want it to go quite to the edge. So I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit and move it so it's centered or close to center. I'm not too nitpicky about things like this because once I get it in a frame, it could be slightly off to one side or the other and you would never notice. So I wanted to say be free down here at the bottom. So I'm going to go to my text tool and select it. And you'll see this text style menu come up. And I'm going to use a font called Sweet Pea. To type that down here at the bottom. So size-wise, this works out pretty well. So before I start tinkering with it a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and select the whole thing, right-click, and go to Weld. And next, I'm going to turn off the line color again because I don't want it to be red. And it disappears, but it's fine because I'll get it back in a second by going to the bucket up here to the color fill and filling it in black as well. So this is going to go here in the final project, or product I should say. And I think I want this to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to draw a box around both and just scale up. I'm going to do it one more time. Just make it a little bit bigger. So this looks pretty good, but I kind of want this feather to be angled a little differently. So I'm going to select it and grab this green handle and just turn it just a little bit. That way I can bring this down and bring this up just a little bit. And now I'm ready to send this to the printer. I printed the design on some medium weight cardstock using my laser printer. And I'm going to transfer some rose gold foil onto the feather portion of the design. So I've used a piece of copier paper to protect the bottom portion where it says "Be Free," because if you do not cover a toner section of these cards when you run it through your machine, it will transfer to the carrier sheet, and I learned that lesson, unfortunately, the hard way. Once I lift the foil, you'll be able to see where it transferred onto the printed image. And you also get a nice negative image that you can use on another project. So this is what it looks like completely foiled, well, partially foiled because I didn't foil the words on the bottom. But here's a look at the completed project. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.